I forget that you have tattoos. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I just remembered you're recording.
Welcome to Letters of Love.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the show.
I'm so excited.
Okay, so today we are actually going to have an interview style about why Letters of Love is created and a little bit about me. So.
Okay. Kaytee, your full name?
It's actually Catherine.
Catherine.
Yes.
When you're not being super deep writing poetry,
Right.
what random things does Kaytee Mitchell do?
Okay, this is actually a great question because I feel like no one knows the real me most of the time. I am like
Who are you?
this super adventurous person. Like if you asked me to go skydiving right now, I would say yes.
Really?
Oh my gosh, I love the sky. Like I love heights. So something fun I like to do, random thing, is parking garages. Like the higher, the better. I want to be on that top level. I sit on the side a lot. I actually was sitting on the side of a parking garage once, and I had a person come up to me and ask if I was okay, because they probably thought I was going to jump.
Yeah.
Which I really was just staring at the city, because I love heights. Like, I'm like this weird nerd with it. But
and you were just chilling there, and you were just...
I'll just sit there for hours.
Oh my god.
I love it so much.
So, Kaytee Mitchell, what's the purpose for this video?
I think I am actually wanting to explain a little bit of why I started the channel, which is that I believe there is a power to words, and that whenever we put words upon words, it equals a story, and then it's like we're the character of these stories that whenever we share them, there's a magic that happens, and I think Letters of Love is birthed on the idea that you can use these words and be able to speak into people's situations and share them as gifts, or even to let them be a monument in your life for a season so that you can be encouraged every day just by seeing them in some sort of way.
So what is your story?
I think it would be a story of redemption if I had to summarize it in a line.
Redemption.
Yes.
That is pretty deep. What
Yeah.
about it?
Well, I think that we all have these stories that have healing and truth within them, but we have to have the courage to dive in and go after them. And we always have to do it at some point in our lives. And it means you have to face your past. It can be kind of like doing a deep dive into the unknown, but then as you go into it, you actually discover that the unknown is this great beauty.
Wow.
So, for example, whenever I was, I think I was 18,
Yeah.
I went on a scuba diving trip, and we went underneath the water, and the boat actually decided to play music for us, and so I was playing, they played a worship song, and I was just looking out underneath the water at all of these sea creatures and this pure blue water. And it was just I heard God whisper, do you see me? And it was in this season where I couldn't really actually physically feel the presence of God or know Him. But in that moment, it was it just came to life. And so I think Letters of Love is being in this moment and hearing these words, and then it's God comes to life. That would be the essence of it. And that deep dive into the unknown is sometimes words can light up your unknown to actually see God.
So about this dive, this crazy dive that you did, what did you dive into?
Oh, well, it's kind of a big story that I'll just try to make shorter. But basically, I was 8 years old whenever I last saw my dad, and he would keep in contact with me, but it ended up creating this desire in me to always want to see him, and I always wanted to please him, and I started having these crazy ambitious goals that maybe if I became famous, that he would see me on TV and then he would like have enough, I don't know, courage in his heart to come and see me.
Wow.
And so from an age of 8 until 18, that was always like my goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually it was like I just started getting that like disappointment, and then it was like not believing anything he said and not believing that he loved me, and just because it was like this huge span of time. And then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was actually diving into that past and
Yeah.
to feeling kind of identityless,
Mm.
and realizing that he really did love me, but it took me diving into my past to actually discover that, like finding his family and talking to them. And my dad's passed away now, but I actually got to meet up with them at the age of 25.
Wow.
And found out how much he loved me the entire time, which was crazy because I feel like it took me hearing it from them and seeing the tears in their eyes as they were saying it to find healing, in which I wouldn't have found this healing if I didn't choose to dive into my past. Something I loved is my dad did send me a lot of letters, and my mom sent me letters as well, and that's actually something that I still treasure today because it was, I'm trying to think how to say it. It was like during the craziness of life, these were the things that brought value to me. And I'm a words person. Above that, I'm quality time. But it was like, if you can't give me quality, you can give me quality through words. And so sometimes we can't break time and we can't be with people. And then some people aren't super deep. Like, that's A-okay. But I think it's cool to be able to give someone something deep, to give to someone that they love, so they feel like they can actually say what they're wanting to say. Like, sometimes we don't know how to say I love you, and that's something with me and my dad that I actually had to learn, is that we would always talk to each other, but we almost talked to our surface. So it was like, he would say, how are you doing? And I'd say, oh, I'm good, how are you? Oh, I'm good. But neither of us were saying what we really felt. And, like, he wasn't telling me, oh, like, I've been sick. And I wasn't telling him, oh, I've been struggling really hard with not having you in my life. And, like,
wow.
So these were the things that we both kind of wanted each other to let one another in, but we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But it was something about words that just capture who a person is. Like, even if it's like you're not saying everything you want to say, you can still say the things that you need to say.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so this is actually a letter that my dad sent me way back when I was young. And it says, Dear Kaytee, and also, I think it's cool because this is now his legacy because he passed away, but I have a letter from him I can hold on to forever, which is also why I'm creating letters of love. Dear Kaytee, hope you had a wonderful birthday, and I hope you have many, many friends to share your enjoyable laughter and love with, as well as with your wonderful brother. Shout out. May happiness be at the heart of everything you do. May laughter be your very best friend. May your memories be warm and sweet, and all your dreams filled with promise. And may you always know how much you are truly loved. If you could see all the beautiful flowers in the world, if you could hear all the laughter in the universe, if you could make all the dreams that were ever wished come true, then you'd know a little part of the joy of having and loving so very much a daughter like you. I love you, Kaytee. Love always, Dad.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it's like, it's little things like that.
I'm shook. I think, like, okay, so my dad, I love you, Dad. My dad's great, and he is great with words and stuff like that. He writes, but there's something really different or unique about the way that your dad wrote that. It just sounds so poetic. It sounds like you could paint a picture with it.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how to describe it. It literally, I don't know. And I feel like you write very similarly.
Mm.
Like, how have you gone about your journey of just discovering what your language is or how you communicate?
Yeah, Well, this is kind of like random, but when I was home, I got to meet my dad's best friends, and it was so cool because it kind of felt like I knew him through them.
Yeah.
But it was, whenever I was with them, I heard this whisper, and it was like, tell them I love them like poetry. And I was like, okay. And so it was like they were grieving still because they hung out with my dad every single day for, I don't know, like his whole life, like high school until when he passed away, and he was in around like his 60s. So it's like this whole, I don't know, 40 years or so of friendship had been going on, and every single day they were hanging out together.
Yeah.
And so I ended up writing them poetry on the spot that I felt like he like had to say to them, like, or like how his love would want to be portrayed to them.
My
and
gosh.
they ended up bawling their eyes out. It was the most beautiful like moment that I could have ever like written up. And it was just like they said that what I wrote was exactly how he would have said it.
Wow.
And they were like, you can just create things on the spot like your dad. But then again, letting you know that I haven't actually known him basically my entire life. Like, I didn't know he was poetic. I actually knew he was more of like a musical person. So it's like for me,
Wow.
I didn't even know I was a writer. I randomly just started to write a book one day. And then, because I felt like that's what God put in my heart. And so 7 years later, I finished the book. And then I just was still in love with journaling, so I was journaling every day. And then someone else introduced me to poetry. And so I started kind of writing a little bit more like poetic stanzas. And now it's just like how I think is almost like poetry.
Literally. The way you say things.
It surprises me because I don't know what's inside of me until I either start to write or until I start to talk. Like, it's like this weird thing because you don't know if it's going to come out as like dirt or clay or if it's going to be like this golden thing that you can never get back, which is typically what happens with me. So
it's always golden. I'm always like,
wow. Yeah, I don't know.
How? Anyways.
But thank you.
Wow.
I wish I could tell him, one day.
I feel like that's... Sorry. Just even you could even pause this.
It's okay. I can tell it's trying to focus again.
That God is so kind.
He is kind.
Like, the fact that you and your dad have so many similarities blows my mind.
Yeah.
That you didn't even know. That would live on way after him through
Amen.
you. I think that's the kindness of God. I'm just like, sorry. I'm having a moment. You made it. Kaytee, on that note, so you told us a little bit about who you are, what you love, and who you love.
Yeah.
Do you have any words of love for the people who are afraid to dive into their stories?
Yes, I do. And it's actually in a letter form because I got you. So you can close your eyes and visualize this if you like. To the character who's about to dive into their story. Start with forgiveness. Forgive those who hurt you. Forgive yourself for what you wish you would have said and what words you didn't say at all. Forgive the time that seems lost, but not all is lost forever. There's never a perfect time to face your scars, but you just have to remember that there's healing on the other side of the long nights and hard conversations. Don't give up on those who you once loved, even yourself. For freedom exists on the other side of your fear, but first you must face those fears. Even with the help of the Holy Spirit, and most can only be overcome by the help of the Holy Spirit and by the power of the Word. But be brave because you are so worth it. You'll never truly live until you're free from the pain of your past, and the truth will set you free. I can promise you that. The dive will set you soaring, and then share your story. We're stronger together than alone. For our stories have the power to empower others, to find their own, write their own, and tell their own. And I hope that this is just the beginning of love's redemption for everyone. My name is Kaytee Mitchell, and this is my story. My love letter to you.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm speechless.
Well, thank you
That was beautiful.
for being on Letters of Life and interviewing me and pulling out the gold that was hidden deep, deep inside.
Thank you for being you. Shoot.
Oh my gosh, you're just the best. And I hope that you too can also be able to face your past. Sometimes it might be your past dreams, and it might even be past things that you have dug. I have a picture of you digging beneath it with things that have been buried in the ground, and I feel like it's time that you bring them back up and out, kind of like time capsule vibes, because there's a story there that needs some redeeming, and then you're gonna live in your freedom. So
thank you.
that's for you. So thanks for being on my show, and
Thanks
I love
for
you.
having me. I love you.
So good. And I love you guys. I want to hear your stories. Hopefully you can create a video. It doesn't have to be this long. 30 seconds. Utang will do one of her own, and we'll be catching up with you soon. Subscribe below if you want to hear some more love letters, and I'll be sending them your way. Letters.
Okay.
Did you like it?
I did.